Talk about some fish tanks.
All right, let's go. I'm Stefan.
I'm Chris.
We're with Plays with Water, and it's been a long time since we put out a video.
Would have been 6 months or so?
At least. Took a little hiatus with the nice weather we've been having, and you know, it's summertime, you kind of steer away from the fish tank hobby and into the outdoor hobbies.
Yeah, all the tanks kind of just coast for a little bit. You know, you're busy outside and you know, doing yard stuff, enjoying the weather, you know, and
I bought a house.
Yeah, you bought a house, you know.
A little busy.
You know, a little bit of jobs changing, and
yeah,
you know, it was a good summer though, all in all.
Yep.
But now it's time to bunker back down into our basements and play with some water.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, we did a few things recently, and we videotaped them, and we thought we'd talk about them with you as we show you the footage. So, ready?
Yeah, let's get to the meat and potatoes of it.
Let's do it.
All right, so this is one of the newest members of the Plays with Water family.
It's Toby. He's my Fahaka puffer. This is pretty much the day I bought him. He was about 1.25 inches, maybe 1.5 inches at most. He was tiny. And yeah, I always wanted a puffer, and I don't think I can handle the size of an imbu, so
yeah, most people can't.
Chris decided or suggested that I go with a Fahaka puffer, and literally a couple weeks later, they just turned up in the store, the local fish store. So I decided to make the commitment. Fahaka puffers, they can grow to 16 and 18 inches. They generally only eat live food. They're carnivores, so they need a big tank, and they're expensive feeding bill. So it's quite the commitment to sign on to take on one of these.
You did get kind of lucky though, because
look at this guy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you look at him now. He's definitely.
He's almost 6 inches now in that shot, which is where he is now.
Yeah, he's definitely packing on the size quite quick. Like I was saying, you got lucky because I had given you some pellet food, and you got him kind of pellet trained for a little while, didn't you?
Yeah, right when he started out, I was giving him food in a little dish. So then I would sneak in a few pellets onto that dish every time I gave him some live food, so it actually trained him to eat the pellets. And that's been nice, because now I can easily just drop some pellets in on an easy feeding night. But as you can see, he loves the worms. Trout worms, earthworms. He's big enough for those now. Most of his diet consists of snails, though.
Yes.
It's important to do that because they have a beak that grows and grows, and if you don't keep it trimmed down with shelled foods like snails, which they eat whole and break with that beak that they have, and it keeps it trimmed down so that they can continue to eat, because otherwise the beak will grow so big that they literally can't fit the food into their mouths anymore, and obviously that's a problem, and then you have to manually trim them, and I don't ever want to experience that.
I don't want to have to go through that endeavor. I've seen some guys doing it, and it just makes me nervous. So here's the setup that he's currently in. He was initially in a 40-gallon when you got him.
Right. I had to build a stand for a 120-gallon tank. I decided to build a sump for it, so that's why I drilled these holes in the stand. There's my first attempt at a sump. I built that out of a 55-gallon. It generally works pretty well. I mean, there's the first time it was set up right there. And it's a great sized tank. It's 4 feet long, 2 feet deep, 2 feet tall. The sump, I'm really glad I went with a sump, but my first design didn't really work the way I wanted it to. You can see in this video, it's some of the sections were getting skipped. The pump flow was just too high for my design, so you know, you win some, you lose some, you learn, and you move on.
Well, you're running 2 pumps too, so that's a lot of
it's a lot of flow.
Yeah, it's a lot of water moving through there at any given time.
It's a lot of flow. So anyway, yeah, that's that didn't really work. So I put the sponge filters in the top tank, and I went to town and I redid my sump. And there's Toby.
The water does look really clean now. So either way, I mean, it is doing its job, but you just want to, you know, make it better, and you know, obviously you're learning from mistakes because it's your first time doing a sump. I've never done a sump personally, so I'm just gonna, you know, try to learn from your mistakes if I ever go down that route.
By all means, that's fine. I mean, here's how it's set up now. I changed the height of some of the baffles. I boxed in my mechanical filtration. And honestly, the sump's running like a champ right now. I use egg crating to box in the mechanical.
Yeah, egg crating, a million uses and counting in this hobby. Really is a lifesaver. That and zip ties. You can see you got one there.
Oh, lots of zip ties, yeah.
Now, what kind of pumps are those?
I'll have to put a link in the description. Not sure.
Yeah, I forget what pumps they were with.
We're gonna edit this part out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sump's running great now.
Yeah, I am jealous. I've always wanted to do a sump, and you beat me to the punch on this one.
Well, Toby's worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah, to see this fish in person, it's really cool looking fish. He's extremely interactive. You know.
That's what I was looking for.
Yes, if you're going to commit to it.
Speaking of interactive,
here's our other tank that we've recently set up. It's my Brackish 40-gallon tank. You can see it down here. The star of this show is the Figure Eight Puffer that you had adopted and then given to me.
Yeah. He
was in a tank with 2 green-spotted puffers and was getting bullied quite a bit.
Yeah, he had no tail. One of his eyes was completely white when I got him and had stuff coming out of it. He was in bad shape when I picked him up.
And I've been wanting to do a Brackish tank again. Brackish tanks were actually some of the first tanks that got me seriously into this hobby. I've had night gobies, dragon gobies, bumblebee gobies, Figure Eight puffers in the past. So this was perfect. You know, he had Toby and he has his green spotted puffer, so I took this puffer.
Which I was thankful for because I was running out of food for all these puffers.
So what we're doing with this tank, since it's a new tank, this is the first water change that I'm doing on it since I set it up. There are 2 Sailfin Mollies in there. They're probably not true, completely 100% Sailfin Mollies. The orange and the black color, I don't think that's really... I think they're generally like kind of brownish, tan, gold, yellow color. So
okay.
This bright orange and black, they're obviously hybridized with something or another. But they got that big characteristic sailfin on the top. And so I absolutely love them. The colors on them are really starting to pop on them. They get along great with the puffer. And they do an awesome job of cleaning up algae. You'll see a little later in this, you see a more updated version of how this tank is looking now, and there's still little to no algae in there.
Awesome. What salinity are you running on this?
Right now, it's about 1002. I just slightly spike the water that I introduce in when I do a water change. I am trying to slowly acclimate all the plants that I'm growing in there. Excuse me. So I'm very, very slowly raising the salinity in the tank. Excuse me.
What kind of plants are you going to run in a tank? What plants can you do in a brackish tank?
Currently, I'm running just Java fern, and I got a little bit of Java moss in there. Excuse me.
That's pretty great.
Okay, I've officially recouped from my quick cough fit. But anyway, so I'm running. Yes, I'm running just Java fern and Java moss in there, and a little bit of Anubias. I've heard Amazon swords actually can do pretty well in low-end brackish, but I don't want to run a lot of substrate in there. So
okay.
So this is, I actually have moved the tank from where I initially had it, but this is pretty much what it looks like maybe within an hour or 2 after doing a water change, you know, stirring everything up. And as you can see, you know, the Java fern seems to be acclimating just fine. A little bit of die-off here and there, but that's to be expected.
Yeah.
But you can see the colors on the fish are really starting to pop and come out. They need that salinity, you know. Well, I shouldn't say they need it, but they greatly appreciate it. So even though I'm not running, you know, they can, you can target for up to 1008 with these Figure Eights and Mollies, but they don't necessarily need it. So maybe eventually I'll get there, but I'll probably kind of stop adding salt once I get to 1005. I think that'll be a nice spot for me to be at. And the plants will do a little better at that lower salinity than if I were to keep raising it.
That's a good number for the puffer.
Yeah. You know, so as far as like substrate, it's just a thin coating of crushed aragonite to help buffer that water up high.
Yep.
The stone is mostly Sirius stone. I just like the aged look of it in there. And here I am. I have to crush his snails for him because his beak isn't quite big enough to crunch through the snails on his own. But he's very well fed. The mollies get along great with him. They'll even come and pick up some of the scraps they misses from the crushed snails. And yeah, altogether, I'm really happy with it. Now here's my mostly Tanganyikan fish. You can see I've added some New Guinea rainbows in there. And pretty much what I was trying to achieve and has worked in this is they're acting as dither fish. They're helping to bring out all the other, you know, all the cichlids in there. And it's been working great. And they're just spectacular looking fish. They will get 5 to 6 inches, so eventually this tank is going to have to get upgraded to something larger. But the 125 behind us, these fish are going to need to be upgraded within a year or so. So possibly they'll get moved into their new setup, and these guys will get moved into this. So, you know, then I can add some more cichlids, possibly some more rainbows in there. And I really like how this scape is turning out. I added the crinium in there, and it seems to be pretty happy with it. It's got a little bit of algae growth on it. But the Siamese algae eater does a good job of cleaning up any algae that's in there. Cool. So yeah, really digging how this tank is coming out. It's obviously not purely Tanganyikan or African even really at this point, but it's all right. It's a nice tank to look at. I'm starting to find myself really staring at this tank a lot more. Cool.
So some changes to the mossy tree frog Vivarium or Paludarium.
Yeah, we had a bit of a sad point with that. I came down one morning and one of the frogs had expired, and I don't really know what was up with, you know. It seemed like a healthy ecosystem. And so, you know, it sucked. And then about a month or two later, yeah, I think it was actually like 2 months later, I came downstairs and the other frog was dead. No sign, you know, I even opened up their mouth to see if maybe they had been choked on something. And I really just don't know what happened. I didn't really have much mold or anything growing in there. I stopped running the humidifier in there because I heard that can cause some, you know, bacterial problems and mold issues. Okay. So I don't really know what happened, but you know, from every bad thing that happens, hopefully there's a good thing that happens and a new beginning. So what we have here is I tried an outdoor tub this year. It was just a 29-gallon one of those brute tubs. And I just threw some like plant clippings in there, some stem plants, and a few feeder fish just to kind of play around with and experiment on my porch this year. And after setting it up, I noticed there's a tadpole in there. Oh, cool. I think it may have hijacked. I put a water hyacinth in there. I think it might have hijacked in there. So, you know, I raised this tadpole in this outdoor tub. And then when I came down to break down the tub for the winter, I saw he had 4 legs. He was still, you know, so I wanted to try to keep and see what this tadpole is going to turn into. So at this point, the Paludarium I had up and running for I don't know, maybe like 3 months had passed since the frogs had died.
Yeah.
And I was keeping on top of cleaning the water and all that, and the plants really started to take off. So it's much more established than it was prior. So I released him in there, and literally within the day, he absorbed his tail and was out hopping and climbing around.
That's cool.
And I on one of the Facebook pages that I'm on, I posted a picture of him to see if anyone could identify him.
Yeah.
And it turns out it's a northeastern gray tree frog. And they're actually native to, we're in Connecticut, so they're native to the Northeast. And they actually do very well in captivity.
Okay.
So it kind of works out. He's in there, he's eating springtails and some fungus gnats that I got in there.
Cool.
It kind of attracts him. I have a lot of house plants, so if you have house plants, fungus gnats, sometimes they're kind of inevitable. They go hand in hand with it. But they're attracted to the conditions in there. So he's been snacking and eating. He's probably been in there for about a month now, and he's starting to grow a little bit, and we'll, here's a new beginning. Let's see how this comes out.
Awesome. All right. I think that's all we got this month.
This month,
I hope it's only a month.
Yes.
Before the next video comes out. But I want to thank you guys for watching. There's a lot of things coming up. I think we're about ready for a fish room tour or two.
Absolutely. I've done a lot of work down here. The room's completely different since our last fish room tour.
Yep.
A year and a half ago now.
Yeah, this isn't really an African cichlid tank, is it? Not completely, anyway.
Well, it's not the Fizzy Malawi tank that was formerly here.
Little sneak preview.
Yes. the Frontosas got moved out of the 75, and I put them in here. I sold off most of the cichlids that I did have in here. I kept the catfish and my sapphire.
Okay.
And so yeah, I got the Frontosas in there. There's two bikers in there, the Endla cherries. So yeah, maybe our next video we'll dive into the updates on this tank.
Sounds good.
Well, thanks again, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Please like, subscribe. Please like, subscribe. Thanks, guys.
See ya.